Hello and welcome to another episode of the Underbed Railway. This episode marks number 6 in the series. And before I get going, I just want to say a massive thank you to anyone who's liked, subscribed, or just watched a video so far. As of this morning, I had 62 people subscribed to the channel, and it's a massive shock that even that many people have watched the videos, let alone subscribed. So thank you very much to all of you. Now, as you may be able to tell, I'm talking from the future. The track has been ballasted, and this video is going to show you just what I've done to get to this point. It's mostly done. There are a few places, especially around the points, that still need some work, but it's glued into place. It's rock hard, and it's ready for me to get on with more of the scenery, and I can come back and tidy up the pieces as I go. You may also see I've been building some model kits. These are sections of wall that will brace the raised up section at the far end of the track. Okay, so these are going to be the focus of episode number 7, but I'll just give you a quick overview while they're here in front of me. So one of these will sit either side of the center part of the layout, and up to the plain cardboard in the center there, this is going to be the height of the terrain as I build it up, which will give me enough room for some scenery on top when I close the bed down on top. And that will just give me enough gap between the top of the terrain and the lowest part of the bed structure as it comes down. But it's also high enough to give me a nice variation in height of terrain, and it will make the layout far more interesting. I've got several more kits to build. One of these I built on a live stream the other day when I was giving that a bit of a test run. Now I've figured that out, I will probably do more live streams in the future. So I don't know if anyone caught the one that I did the other day. It wasn't announced or anything. It was just something I thought I'd give a go. But that's enough about the next episode. Before we get onto that, let's get through the current one. And in this one, I'll be showing you the process I used to ballast the layout. As you may see around these points over here, there is still a little work to do and a bit of tidying up. However, the majority of it is done. So let's get on with that now. Okay, so now I've got the backdrop in place, most of it anyway. I'm going to start with some ballasting. So, this is the ballast that I've got. It's the Woodland Scenics Fine Ballast in Grey Blend. There should be plenty between the two of these I've got. What I'm going to do is pour some into this bowl. And then I've got this measuring spoon, and I'm going to use that just to pour some around the edge of the track. As we go around, hopefully we're going to end up with something that I'm happy with. Okay, so I think we're getting there. And I think with a couple of passes, this piece here looks just how I want it. And I just need to go around. It's going to take quite a while, I think. And I'll get there in the end. That's going to make quite a difference. And once the ballasting's done all the way around, it's going to look quite different. So I'll be back once I've done some more. Okay, so here we have the results of possibly 2 hours of ballasting. And as you can see, there's some ballast down at this end. I haven't touched the far end or the sidings yet. And I'm not happy yet with how it's looking. Certain areas, such as here, are looking pretty good. And other sections, we've got track bed foam still visible through the ballast. And there are some areas where there's excess spilling over. So what I'm doing now is I'm going to get a first coat down of ballast all around the track. Then I'm going to go around and scrape away excess so that I haven't got too much in certain places. I'm okay with having not enough in areas such as this, because once I've taken away the excess, I'm going to go around and glue down what we've already got. And then once that's all dry, I will go and give it a second coat just to touch up all the areas that need a little bit more. And hopefully after 2 passes around the whole track, I will have a ballast that I'm happy with. So I've used maybe half a pot so far. I've got another one over there, and there's still some in my pot in the centre here. So there we are. I've put a bit of tape, new tape, along the edge of the bed here, and it's sticking, so that is mostly okay. As you can see, it's making quite a difference to how it looks. The far end and the other side haven't been done yet. Once the ballast is in, it should start to look much better, and then we start to work on more of the scenery. So there we go. I'm going to go and make myself a coffee and stretch my legs for a bit. Okay, so I thought I'd just share with you the method I ended up using for the majority of the track that I've done so far. So this here is a piece of what is basically seat foam sponge, and as you can see, it's quite grey on one side. It started off as this green colour, and I'd already cut a piece of this to use as padding in a box that I store some rolling stock in. But the method I used for majority of this track, and it's been fairly quick, is basically to overload the centre between the rails, come along with my finger and just push most of it out of the way, and then I come in with this sponge which just fits. It's just slightly wider than the gap between the rails, which just holds it in nicely, and I can then push it along. And by doing this, it clears nicely any excess from on top of the rails, leaves everything between the rails, and then it will mould nicely around the track, and it will just push off the excess, which falls nicely to create your embankment. So as I explained, I've taken out the slats from the bed, which has given me top-down access, and I've ballasted the majority of the layout. Some of it needs me to go back over again. I've got a little bit down in this far corner to do, but the majority of it is now complete. I'm just working on this corner. I've got some tidying up to do around the points here in the centre, but it's definitely coming along. Okay, so I've been chipping away at this ballasting for the past couple of days, and here's the result. As you can see, the bed's all back together. The back seam extends all the way around, and the majority of the ballasting is done. Some of it still needs to be glued down. Most of it at this end, as you see, it's a bit darker. This is where it's been done, and there's a couple of spaces where I just need to go back and fill in where I missed some glue. I'm glued all the way up to roughly here on this side. All of that end bit where it's lighter still needs gluing, and you can see a colour change here between the bits that are glued and the bits that aren't. You'll also spot down at the far end one of the tunnel entrances that I've built up, which is actually two kits of tunnel entrance, which I've mostly used one of, and then I've used part of another one just to get to the edge there. I won't have room for the full tunnel, but once the top is put on and it's all built up, that should look absolutely wonderful. I didn't put out the buttress supports because one, I didn't like the look of them, and two, we've got no need for them. As you can see, this is what's left of jar number 2, plus quite a bit in the hoover and some in that pot. So it's taken most of 2 full jars of ballast to get to this point. And in the next couple of days, I will have the rest of this all glued into place, and I can then get on with building the rest of the model kits that I've got. So I need to build a bridge to go over these 2 tracks into the centre. Then I've got the platforms to do here and here. There are some other buildings and walls. So there's a wall, sloped wall to go this side, and one over there. Then there are some walls to go around the back. And then the scenery, the hill will have to be formed. So I'll make that using lots of various different supplies. I've got some wire, sort of mesh. I've got plaster, and I've got various different foam boards and supports that I can build up the far end there. And hopefully it's going to start looking a lot more interesting in the coming week or two. So I'm going to get back to gluing this ballast down, and I will return and show you when that's finished. Okay, so how am I getting this ballast fixed into place? Well, I've got this spray bottle here, And in here I have some pure isopropyl alcohol. I also have this old empty laundry stain remover tub, which has a good lid. And as it's a good size, I've got a mixture of PVA glue and water and a syringe in here. That means I can mix a load up and I can seal it up and leave it for a few days and it's not going to dry up. So once I'm reasonably happy with the look of the ballast, I can give it a spray with the isopropyl alcohol. Which of course won't do any harm to the track and will evaporate and dry off rather quickly, but it does wet down the ballast to keep it mostly in place while I glue it. I then come in with the syringe and in the middle, which should soak down into the ballast, and some of that will seep out between the sides of the rails. As you can see, it's already soaking in. And then I can come in and saturate the remaining ballast, and once it's dry it looks as it does around the other end of the layout. And after this has had a day or two to dry and I've moved around the layout and done more of it, we should be able to move on to some of the landscaping and see what we can do.